Hey my peoples, welcome back to my channel and back to another video. Today's video we are going to be reacting to woke anti-white TikTok. Because why not? It's been a while, right? I've been kind of away from TikTok for quite some time and I figured it's time for a nice reunion to drag the hell out of that crazy app and those crazy people who create on that app, particularly on the left. It's a circus over there and I figured there's no better way than to enjoy the circus than to do it together. So sit back, relax, and let's react to some crazy anti-white woke TikTok because it never fails. All right, so first up we have this Karen looking woman in my view. So let's react to what she has to say because there's nothing worse than the white saviors, the white savior Karens is what I call them, on the left who like to remind white people that they should be ashamed to be white and that they are allies. So let's see what she has to say in these 26 seconds.
We've talked before about white women taking up space, especially on the sidewalk, but lately I've been noticing how we take up sound space, engaging in conversations as if nobody else is in the space. And it's par for the course when white women do it, but when black women do it, all of a sudden it's a problem. White women's sense of entitlement is so far-reaching. It's our responsibility to constantly check one another.
Well, alrighty then, we are out to a great start. So, according to this white woman, not only do white people take up space physically, like walking down a sidewalk, because of course that's just a white people thing, right? DMing people. But white people also take up space when it comes to sound. I mean, damn, you guys take up everything, don't you? Physical space, now you take up sound waves, like
what else are you going to take from us?
And I just find it interesting that she's stating that, you know, white women, particularly white women, needs to be checked by other white women because white women have a tendency to overtalk people and to make everything about themselves and to dominate the conversation. And I'm just wondering, who exactly has she been in contact with? Who exactly are these white people that keep overtaking conversations and dominating sidewalk and being so domineering? Who are they? Because I haven't met them. Now, I have met people who are inconsiderate in conversation and who make conversations about themselves. Those tend to be narcissistic people. And guess what? They come in all shades. Yes, even my shade. So I just find it funny how liberals love to generalize with these labels based on race, but then also hate labels when it's placed on them. Isn't that funny? And of course she has to throw in the ally word of,
but if it was a black woman.
She does that because she needs to rile up the crowd, right? She knows that what she's saying is going to be a great narrative for the BLM movement and the BLM narrative and that audience. And so in order to really hook them in, to say I'm an ally, you have to, you know, throw in,
but if it was black, but if it was black, but if it was black.
And yeah, that's just her self-hating way of stating that I'm sorry that I'm white. I'm gonna be quiet now. And I'm gonna be an ally. Yeah. Okay. Good luck with that. On to the next video.
On today's episode of Is It a Microaggression or Is a White Lady Just Being Nice? A coworker says to me, "You're running this meeting very well. Mind you, the person who was supposed to run the meeting didn't come. So it could have just been a nice compliment. What do y'all think?"
Let's watch that one more time because I'm confused where the problem is.
On today's episode of Is It a Microaggression or Is a White Lady Just Being Nice? A coworker says to me, "You're running this meeting very well. Mind you, the person who was supposed to run the meeting didn't come. So it could have just been a nice compliment. What do y'all think?"
Okay. She also made another response video to this video, so let's watch that before I give my opinion.
Okay, 3 things. Impact, intent, precision. Would she have felt compelled to say the same thing to a straight white male? We don't know because we can't guess her intent. Did I feel offended? No, I didn't, but that doesn't mean other people wouldn't be. So I think it's both. And that's why it's important to be explicit with your language.
Wow. Okay, I guess I didn't misinterpret what she was trying to say. Sadly. It's like people look for problems, don't they? Like people look for a reason to be upset, a reason to be offended, a reason to make a rant video on TikTok. So now, giving a compliment to a fellow employee or to a coworker for doing a great job is now considered a microaggression against black people or against people of color. And for those who don't know, a microaggression is pretty much just another way of being racist or prejudiced against people of color without outwardly saying it. So it's done in sort of a covert way, but it's still happening. And clearly, as we can see, this is the best example. Is it possible that maybe the intention of the coworker wasn't to disrespect you for being black? Is it possible that maybe she just thought you did a great job? That maybe she thought, wow, you're a great leader. I never saw you lead a meeting before, and you did a great job. Awesome. You should do more. Is it possible that she was just trying to uplift you so you could continue to rise up in the company? Maybe be a manager one day? I mean, I don't know the intention like she said, right? But I love how she immediately runs to it must be a microaggression, or it could be a microaggression because the person saying the compliment is white. So yes, if you are a white person and you give a compliment to a person who happens not to be white, just beware, you are walking through a landmine. Just know that. And the irony is that if she said nothing to this woman, right? If she did not acknowledge the work that she did, I guarantee you, she would be doing a rant about that. She would be pissed off that my coworker or my manager or my supervisor who happens to be white couldn't give me credit, couldn't give the black person credit. Do you realize how you are on a hamster wheel right now? Like, you literally are looking for a reason to be upset. You are looking for a reason to be bothered. You are looking for a reason to have a problem with something. This is where it becomes redundant and it becomes ridiculous. Like, you are losing all sense of reality when you look for reasons to be upset. And of course she has to throw in, would she have said that if it was a white man? Well, if that white man normally didn't do meetings, if that white man normally didn't step up in the way that she did and did a good job, then yeah, I would presume that that white guy probably would get the same compliment. You did a great job. Amazing. And what's funny is if that happened, again, she would be on TikTok complaining because of course the white man gets the credit. Of course. Like, we can't even accept compliments. We can't even be told, great job. Awesome. Great work. Can't say that. Not if you're white. And especially not if the employee that you are complimenting is a POC. How dare you?
Why did a white man just ask me why I have two phones? I said, because I sell dope.
What? Okay. So a person sees you with two phones, which is not normal for any person, and you immediately jump to, he must be thinking you're a drug dealer. So let me play into that stereotype, because that must be what he's thinking because he's white. So question, is she not doing the same thing? The same thing that she's accusing him of presuming against her, right? She's assuming that because he's white, she knows his intention. Now, if he assumes her intention because she's black, that makes him prejudiced, that makes him racist, that makes him wrong, that makes him canceled. So, if she's doing the same thing, what does that make her? On to the next video.
I was literally just talking to my mom about this. I get so irrationally fucking angry when I see specifically a white man just taking up way more fucking space than is necessary for his being. Especially when he's just completely oblivious to the fact that he is in everybody's way. The only thing that makes it worse is when it's a dude who's got like his little mini-me son with him and they're both just like taking up so much fucking space for no reason! Stop having sons and then turning them into men who don't pay attention to fucking surroundings and are continuously oblivious to the fact that they are in damn way. Either that or understand that you are creating little humans that I want to punt into the sun!
Wow. All I can say is mental health checks are necessary. So not only do we have a white savior with her cape, not only do we have that, but we also have a woman who clearly has an issue with men in general, right? Because she's targeting not just white men, but also their damn sons, their spawns. And how dare they take up space? How dare they walk through Earth and take up space? How dare they? Like, why can't you just live in a bubble away from everybody else and not be racist? Your existence, your very existence is a problem. Like, do we not see Do we not see how crazy that sounds? Like, again, the generalizations, right? That all white men are exactly like this. All of them. But God forbid somebody says all black men are like this. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you substitute the word white for black and then suddenly it sounds racist, it always was.
The way that YT people don't make space for people on the sidewalk is representative of...
Okay, I can't find the article that I'm referencing, but basically it was talking about how white people also interact differently with POC and black people depending on whether they're looking up or down when they're walking down the street. So white people will move if you're looking down and focus on something else versus if you're looking up, they expect you to move. And while I was on campus at a PWI, I often tried this when I thought about it, and without fail, every time I noticed myself shifting basically off the sidewalk, when I was walking forward, because I always carry my head up when I'm walking, and it was just mind-boggling to see that article in action, and it is definitely telling about how white people see other black people.
Yeah, that's a great scientific experiment. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely, you are so right. That test that she took, that she did, completely rationalizes that mentality. Absolutely. That all white people won't move on the sidewalk. Here's the thing. As somebody who grew up in New York City, not New York State, New York City, the Bronx, New York, as somebody who worked in downtown Manhattan for years when I was in my 20s, I literally worked on 42nd Street in the business district. Okay, I'm talking about busy 24/7. Didn't matter what time of day it was, people were on the sidewalk. And I remember myself walking and having to swerve around people regardless of if they were black, Asian, Latino, or white. Didn't matter. You know why? Because it's not based on the race, it's based on the person and their personality. Some people, like her, will naturally just move aside because that's just their personality, right? They don't want a confrontation. They want to just get from point A to point B as quickly as possible without any problems. I'm the same way. I'm not going to stand in the middle of a sidewalk and expect you to move for me if I can easily just move aside for you and keep moving. It's literally not that big of a deal. But the fact that she took the time to calculate and tally how many white people moved versus black people, first of all, madam, you've got way too much time on your hands to even work that experiment. That's number one. Number two, she said in her video that she naturally would find herself moving aside from left to right. That was her choice, her decision. Wouldn't a better test have been if she didn't move and just walked and then saw how the white person reacted? Would they move or would they just stand there? If you're moving before you give them a chance to respond, wouldn't that be a flawed test? Am I lost here? Because I'm just not calculating what she's calculating. It just makes no sense to me. Again, it's somebody looking for a reason to co-sign the narrative that all white people are A, B, and C. Done. The sidewalks are racist now. The sidewalks are racist. Next video.
You know, it's difficult being a person of color because it's exhausting because you constantly have to take up space. Even if you don't feel accepted, you have to just keep staying there because if not, you're just letting them drag you down and you're letting them push you away.
Okay. That's interesting because he's actually saying the opposite of what we've been hearing. The other ones are saying that white people take up all the space. That white men particularly take up all the space. Whether it be on the sidewalk, whether it be in the office space, whatever it is, right? And white women take up conversation space. Done. But here you have this, I'm assuming, Hispanic man stating that he has to take up space as a Latin person or as a person of color because if not, he won't be seen or he won't be heard, and it's exhausting. It's so exhausting to be a person of color. Oh my God, it's so exhausting. You know, this is where it comes down to perspective and where it comes down to how you see the world, right? Is your glass half full or half empty? Because I can tell you that as a fellow POC, as a fellow Latin boy, I don't feel that same energy drain when I have to walk into rooms or when I take up space here on YouTube, for instance, right? I have my channel here on YouTube. Not once did I ever consider, wow, I'm a person of color. I'm Latin. I have to really push my way into this space so people watch me and see me and hear my voice. I really have to work 10 times harder. I don't have that perspective because I don't have time in the day to give that type of negativity any of my energy. I'm just not gonna do it. If you want to watch me, watch me. If you don't, don't. Keep scrolling. I don't care. I'm not going to let you and your potential racism or your potential prejudice stop me from making videos, stop me from having space, stop me from living my life. And the fact that you have people like this young man who interprets having to be in any space as a drain, as exhausting, because he happens to be brown skinned, it's so much harder. My friend, that's your perspective. That's the lens that you're deciding to wear over your eyes. That's on you. That isn't on the white guy over there or the white girl over there. That's on you and your own perception that you decided to adopt from whoever taught you that that's how life worked. See, thankfully I had parents that never looked at me and said, because you are a Latin person, your life is going to be harder. Those words never came out of their mouths. Therefore, I never adopted those ideologies. I just lived my life. Crazy, right? And no, I don't have an energy drain because I'm a Latin person. I get energy drains because I'm an introvert and I like to be on my own by myself. And when I'm around a lot of people, I do feel drained, but not because I want my space, but because I like to be by myself. That's just me. But the fact that, you know, these Latin people and anybody who isn't white, that they adopt this victim mentality of I have to do this more or I have to take up more space because if not, I won't be seen, I won't be heard, they won't like me. Like, who are you trying to impress? If you let all of that stuff go, the baggage that was put on you by your family and by your society, if you let that go, I'm telling you, you'll realize that life actually can be pretty fun and that life doesn't have to be as hard as you make it for yourself. Sometimes our perception becomes the reality versus the actual reality. All right, I got room for one more video. Let's make it a good one.
Dear white people, it is very important to acknowledge, respect, and understand the safe spaces created by Black individuals. When Black people come together to create a safe space, a cultural group, a cultural organization to help us, we are not trying to say, oh, you can't be in it because you're white. We're not saying that you're excluded from our personal group. However, it is an intimate place for Black individuals to express their problems and concerns that only them will understand. The key word in safe space is safe. Now, when people try to invade into that safe space, try to make themselves feel entitled to that safe space, that's when things go wrong. It's no longer a safe space. Now you're invalidating that Black person's experience. And no, I am not saying just because you're white, you cannot join a Black student union. What I'm really saying is to know your place and know your limits. Step out of your shoes for a second. Have a new mindset. A mindset willing to learn. And then you'll be great. Because now, instead of being a part of the problem, the reason why we created a safe space, you're now going to be a part of the solution.
Okay. So that sounds all nice and dandy, right? She ended with, you'll be part of the solution, not the problem. I don't think that individuals like this young woman want a solution. Because if there's a solution, then there's nothing to complain about. Aww. And I also find it interesting when she stated that just because there are Black safe spaces doesn't mean that white people are being excluded or people who are not Black or not people of color are being excluded from certain spaces. Really? Because I remember this video.
Public service announcement. Excuse me. If y'all didn't know, this is the MSC, and frankly, there's just too many white people in here, and this is a space for people of color. So just be really cognizant of the space that you're taking up, because it does make some of us POCs uncomfortable when we see too many white people in here. It's only been open for 4 days, and frankly, there's the whole university for a lot of y'all to be at, and there's very few spaces for us. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
Sounds to me like these safe spaces are spaces where people, if you are not of that ethnicity or culture, you cannot go to. You get told, what are you doing here? Get out. This is a Blacks only space. This is a Latino only space. You're white, get out. I don't care how you try to flip it, how you try to change the narrative. At the end of the day, what you are supporting is a segregated mindset that states, if you are not this skin color, you can't go through the door. You can't sit down in that seat. Go over there. Move over there. Get out. This ain't for you. And if you are going to be here, you're not allowed to talk. You must be quiet and watch and listen, and that's it. Again, to my earlier point, if you substitute the word white for Black and then suddenly it sounds prejudiced and racist, it always was. That's number one. Number two, I'm so sick and tired of hearing this term safe space, safe space, safe space. Let me tell you something. As a older millennial, there's no such thing as a safe space. This is a very Gen Z adopted mindset that one can create a space where you won't be bothered, where you won't have to deal with real life issues, where you won't have to be uncomfortable. And unfortunately, in the real world, outside of these liberal universities, safe spaces don't exist. You know why? It's called life. You're gonna have to deal with the fact that there will be people that you don't like. There will be people who will be different from you. There will be people who will make you uncomfortable. And that's okay. That's called life. Now, how you deal with those situations is what separates the weak from the strong, in my opinion. If you run away and say,
I need a safe space,
darling, you're gonna be running looking for a safe space for the rest of your life because it don't exist. Also, you cannot create safe spaces in public spaces, right? You cannot say that only this skin tone is allowed in this public space where people of all races and ethnicities and genders have access to. You can't do that. Now, you can do that in your own private setting, right? Your own home. Perfectly fine. Create your own space. Invite who you want to invite into your home, into your space. But you can't go to a public platform, a public scenery and say, can't sit there, wrong color. And then use the excuse, safe space, as a way to ignore the clear prejudice that you are projecting onto that person who doesn't look like you. Because you assume, based on their skin tone, again, assumptions, that their intention is bad. Once again, if a non-black person or a non-POC person presumes the intentions of a black POC person, they are called ignorant, racist, prejudiced, closed-minded. They're canceled. And I'm just struggling to understand why when the opposite happens, why when it's the other races that do this, suddenly it's enlightenment, it's freedom, it's a safe space. No, what it is lunacy. That's what it is. How about we stop coddling these Gen Z kids into believing that the world revolves around them, that they can create spaces where if you don't look like me, you can't come to the door. Knock, knock. Hi. 1964 called. It wanted segregation back. I understand having certain groups and unions within schools, right? Certain organizations. Fine. That's perfectly fine. Have that. But what we're talking about here, like we saw in this example video, is public spaces, right? Whether it be a library or just a section of a school that isn't privatized, where people of color are stating that this area, this section is just for non-white people. Safe space. And my argument is you're no different than a person of a lesser melanin saying the same thing. You're no different. What you want is segregation. What you want is a space that makes you feel comfortable to spit out your prejudice, knowing that it won't matter because the people you're spitting it out to are gonna agree with you. That's what you want. That's the safe space that you want. A space where you can be prejudiced, where you can say what you want to say and not deal with repercussions, not deal with confrontation, not deal with the real world. So I disagree with that young woman. I really do. I think that she's trying to rationalize a segregated mindset by claiming we need this because we're so fragile. We're so victimized. We need a safe space from you. If it's that bad, stay home. I would never jump on board or co-sign that mentality. I'm just not gonna do it. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. We gotta stop making excuses for prejudice based on the color of who is committing the prejudice. Okay, I know I said the last video was the last one, but I forgot there was one more video that I had to react to. One more video that you just gotta see. Roll it.
Hey, white men. Due to systemic and structural racism that black women have had to endure, they only make 64 cents to every dollar that you make. So, as a fitting start to Black History Month, I want to take what you will make today, multiply it by 64%, and then take that difference and give it to some black women today. This shows that you are honoring them, that you are appreciating them, and that you are dedicated to equity. And black women, you know what to do.
That last part. What did that mean? Because I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But I digress. Yeah, equity. Don't you love it? Equity pretty much predetermines results. And there's just so much wrong with that. There's so much wrong with that mentality. And this socialist type of perspective of just take from other people and give it to this group because you're white. Like, it's just mind-blowing to me that we even have people that are like this, that say it with a straight face and feel empowered by that. Like, I would never want, as a person of color, I would never want somebody else giving me 60% of their paycheck simply because I'm Latin. Doesn't matter if I deserve the rewards, doesn't really matter. What I look like is all that matters. That's pretty much what she's stating. And the funny thing is, I went to her TikTok page after this video went viral, thanks to Libs of TikTok, and looks like she's now made her page private. Don't you love that? Don't you love cowards who make these type of statements, that make these type of ignorant comments and videos, and then when they get called out, they hide and they run? I ain't running, I ain't hiding. I've been canceled numerous times, I'm still here. What's up? I would have more respect for her if she did that, as opposed to hiding behind a privatized page because she's too afraid to deal with the backlash of her ignorant comment. But I digress. That is all for today's video, you guys. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of these woke, anti-white, I need space TikToks. Did your head explode too? Does your head hurt? Did you lose brain cells? Because I know I did. If you enjoy my content, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit my notification bell so you know when I post a brand new video. I'm also available on all social media platforms under CurlyBoyChuck. Until next time, peace.